Hello, I'm Carla. This is Jess. Thank you for practicing with us today. Today's class, we're working on poses that require an external rotation of the hips. So you're rolling the hips, the thigh from the inside to the outside. We'll begin today's practice seated in Shavasana, so with the legs crossed at the shin. Take your fingertips next to you. Get a lovely extension through the sides of the body. As you press into the fingertips, lift up the chest, extend the spine. As you exhale, make sure if you've lifted the shoulders up, drop the shoulders away from the ears, and then bring the hands together in the prayer position. Let the eyes close. With the eyes closed, you're taking your focus to your breath. Use the breath to connect to your body. Feel with each inhalation the extension of the spine. And with each exhalation, relax and remove any tension in the body. So soften the skin of the face, the jaw, the teeth. Relax the shoulders. Make sure the knees are descending and the thighs are quietly descending and relaxed. Each exhalation is also an opportunity to leave the outside world outside. Bring your focus to your mat, to your practice today. We'll start the practice with the chanting of the 3 Om. On an exhalation, drop your head down. Take a moment to salute the divinity within. The next breath out, release your hands onto your lap, lift your head up, and let your eyes gently flutter open and focus. And from this position, we come into a position called Agni Stabasm. So if you need to sit on a little bit more height, sit on more height. You're going to take that front leg and you're popping it on top of the bottom leg. So the knee, the ankle is absolutely on the knee. Move the bottom shin out a little bit so that the knee is stacked above the foot. So this is the log stacking pose where you've got the shins directly one on top of the other. Also sometimes called the double pigeon pose because you've got the legs in this Ekapada Rajakapatasana position. Right, so if your knee is up here somewhere, with each exhalation, just use the breath to allow it to settle down. Strong hip work here. Take care that your knees are not in any pain. And if you're quite flat down, you're welcome to come forward onto your elbows and see, can you get that knee to descend a little bit more. As you come forward and you want to rest there, don't just round your back, but rather find an extension in the front body, lifting your chest. And then if you're able to, you can also come down onto your forearms. So feel what your hips are doing, feel what your knees are doing, do only what feels comfortable and doable for your body. Once you come up, just let that foot slide off back to the front, and we're going to change the cross of the legs. Now, each side is different. So again, with the cross of the legs, feel that your sacrum is lifting, your spine is extended, you have enough support under your buttocks, and let the knees descend down. And then taking the front leg, you can close the cross a little bit, and then each side will be different. So perhaps this is my tighter side, yours too. Yeah. So take a time just to settle that knee, take time to exhale, to be here, keep that lift of your spine. So some poses you just want to be in them, you want to hold them, you want to kind of let them percolate a little bit, see if something comes. Again, be mindful of your knees. Make sure that you're feeling the rotation here in the hip joint and you're not twisting the knee awkwardly. When it starts to settle down, if you want to intensify once again, take your elbows and rest on that shin. Scoop the chest forward. You'll get more length in the sides of the trunk. You'll get more of an extension in the glute region. And then if you're able to descend and come down onto your forearms, you can cross your forearms. Just be in whatever position is comfortable and attainable for you. Once you've settled there, come up. Use your hands to help you up. And we're going to, again, just let that knee drop, coming back to Shavasana. Badokonasana, you might need a little bit more height. See how you go. Badokonasana is the cobbler's pose. It's a seated pose. You're taking the knees wide and the feet together. So some people find it's relatively easy to get the knees down. That is the one thing you're trying to do in this pose. For other people, they find it relatively easy to get the feet close to the body. And that's another thing that you're trying to do in this pose. And then for people like me, a lot of it is a struggle. So if you in any way have any knee conditions, do take care of your knees. What you'll want to do is either take a strap or a face cloth, a rolled up face cloth. And if you have an injured knee, you're going to take that strap behind the knee. And when you bend, it behaves as like a spacer for that knee joint. Also, if your knees don't come down and there's a lot of strain on the groin, a lot of strain on that knee, then either using your shoulder balance foams for support or taking a rolled up blanket, you can create a little bit of support for that injured side. Otherwise, you are holding onto your feet. As you hold onto your feet, you lift your spine, lift the sides of the body. And if you are unable to reach your feet, so extend your arms to your toes, interlace the fingers beyond the feet, and try to keep an upright extension of the body. If, when reaching your toes, you end up leaning forward, then it's best to rather have the hands near the ankles so that you extend up and you align the crown of the head with the sacrum. Keep the abdomen drawing up, keep the chest lifted. Don't forget to breathe. And release, bring your hands, your legs together using your hands, and you can just extend your legs in Dandasana. We are now going to do a pose called Supta Badokonasana. Supta Badokonasana is the same pose you just did now, Badokonasana, but Supta means lying down or sleeping. So most people do not have the luxury of two bolsters. What you're going to do is take your 4 shoulder balance foams. These are just foams, A4 size foams, and you're taking them 2 up in a nice long strip. Cover them with a blanket so that there's some softness and the edge is not so hard. Right, up you get. You're going to take your second bolster. If you don't have any of these supports, then what you're going to try and do is just find a stack of blankets and then maybe use some blocks or some cushions instead of the bolster. What Jess is now going to do is lie down so that when she starts to push into her feet, she wants to get her shoulders onto the floor. The arms are going to have to come over the support, and then you bring the feet together onto the bolster, widen the knees for Supta Badokonasana. So in this Supta Badokonasana, the abdomen is spread, there's an openness and a release, very, very beneficial for women, very beneficial for the reproductive, the digestive system, you know, and again, these restorative supported poses, you can pause the video, you can put a timer on for 5 minutes and just chill here. Ideally, what would be nice is to have the alignment of the feet with the body. So you can either sort it out for yourself, or if you have somebody around that can act as a handmaiden, you can place some support under the feet to bring the feet in alignment with the perineum of the body. And this is the alignment that you use when you're doing Supta or Badokonasana legs in Shavasana, the head balance. Right, so with this hip raised up, we are opening the groins, working on that external rotation. There's a broadness from the pubic bone across to the inner knee, and from the inner knee, roll to the outer knee and descend the knees down. And from the outer knee, you also want to retract into that outer hip socket, into that outer hip joint, and see if you can get a little bit more of that action of the hips clenching in. Right, this pose can also be done in a flat position. So to come up out of it, you're going to bring your knees together. You can either roll off it sideways or push yourself off it, and then we'll come up. I'll just remove these props, and then we're going to come to Supta Badokonasana lying flat. In Supta Badokonasana lying flat, you no longer have that same support, but you still want to try and feel that openness, that expanse. You still want to feel that sort of that rotation of the energy from the groins to the inner knees, from the outer knees to the outer hips as the knees descend. Soften the shoulders. We're working on just loosening the pelvic girdle, opening up into those hips. We're going to now bring the arms into the cactus arm position. So with this position, Badokonasana, this bent leg, we use this position in many poses, but we sometimes also bend the leg at a 90 degrees. So keeping the knees tall, if you take your shins, your feet away so that the shins are parallel to each other, and now this brings a little bit of a change, a little bit of a different action in the hips. Press you down. You're not going to hold this for too long. Again, bringing the feet back to Badokonasana, so you're back in a classic Supta Badokonasana. You can bring your hands at your sides, use your hands at your sides to support the thighs, bring the knees together, and then again, rolling onto your side to come up. So, Supta means lying down or sleeping, and generally in a Supta position, you're lying down in a supine position facing up. You can also do Supta Badokonasana lying in a prone position facing down. So the dilemma in Supta Badokonasana in a prone position is if you don't have enough openness in the hips and the groins, your feet will come up or your buttocks will come up. Okay, so you can drop down a little bit more so you're not getting too much of a back arch. You can cross your forearms here. So if you have a look, Jess is pretty reasonably flat, but if she presses her buttocks all the way down, the feet come up. And if she gets the feet to connect to the floor, then the buttocks come up. So this is just a way of using gravity to help get that spread across the pelvic region. You can also do what's often called the frog or the roadkill pose in this position too, where you're taking the legs at a 90 degree, like Virabhadrasana number 2. And if this is too intense for you, then absolutely straighten one leg. Sorry, I'm trying to use you like a little doll. You keep one leg straight and taking one leg into that Virabhadrasana 2 shape, you can work one side and then swap over and do the other side. So this is a lot kinder. And if you find that in doing with the 2 legs, you get quite a dramatic arch in your back and it catches your lower back, then rather do one leg, making sure you keep the knee in line with the hip and you keep the ankle in line with the knee. So there's a right angle to that leg. When you've done both sides, you're going to come out of it. So straighten both legs, push yourself up into Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Virasana, toes are together, knees are apart. The knees are only slightly apart, so that's a little bit wide, so that it supports the sides of the body. Exhale as you come forward. Keep the buttocks descended and touching the heels as much as you can. Extend through the sides of the body and the spine. And you'll see here, her arms are engaged. They lifted off the floor. The elbows are locked. The hands, you take them in line with the shoulders. So hands as wide as your shoulders. And you want to keep the index finger and the thumb arm pressing down, even as you lock the elbows and lift the forearms up. We're coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog pose. So turning the toes under, lift into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, because this is an online practice, you need to do what is within your scope of practice. You need to take care of your body. At any point, if you need to come down, rest in the previous pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. Otherwise, you're straightening the legs. So try and really open up the back of the knee by moving the front of the leg to the back of the leg. Jess is able to get her heels down. If you cannot get your heels down, don't stress so much. What you do want to do is press into the hands. You want to get length in the sides of the body. I'm going to touch it by moving the root of the thigh back. Lengthen the sides of the body. As you exhale, press into the hands and bring that spine into the body, opening the chest and the armpits towards the knees. And even as you bring the shoulder blades in and the chest and the armpits open towards the knees, can you keep the forearms firmly lifting away from the floor? Adho Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, bend the knees, rest in Adho Mukha Virasana. And you're going to hold this rest pose only as long as you need. If you have a more established practice and you're able to continue, then don't be in here for too long. Coming back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. We're going to work into a few lunge positions. So from Adho Mukha Svanasana, you have to use a little bit of momentum. You have to use an abdominal contraction to lift the leg, but you're going to bring the right leg forward into a lunge, extend the left leg back. So in this lunge position, the leg that's forward, feel that length in the side of the body is there. You're moving the root of that hip back. From here, we're going to go into Anjaneyasana. So with this back leg fully extended, take that knee onto the floor and then extend the toes so that you're on the toenails, pressing that shin down. You want to lift up and take your arms up over your head into Anjaneyasana. Jess back bends very easily, so just be cautious that as you go into the pose and you look up, you keep the flesh of the buttocks down, you keep the lift of the abdomen and the hips, and most importantly, you keep breathing. It makes you dizzy to look up, don't look up. As you come down, you're going to take your hands on the inside of that foot. Now, with the hands on the inside of the foot, keep this right bent knee close to the body. And then if that stretch is enough for you, if the hips and that back thigh are working sufficiently, stay here. If you need bricks, if you can't reach the floor, you can also use bricks. But if you can go deeper, start to bend your elbows and see, will those forearms come to the floor? So really deep hip work here. Even though you're down and there's a slight roundedness in the back, you still want to extend the breastbone forward. And then to come up, you're going to push against the hands, take the hands on either side of the foot, turn the back toes under, and returning and lifting the buttocks, coming to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana here, a little bit of a rest pose, catch your breath before we do those two poses to the left side. So when you're ready, exhale, bring that left foot forward. With the left foot forward, first extend the right leg. Let's just get a nice stretch in this quadricep, stretching into the heel, stretching the sides of the body, especially remembering this left side of the body to square off the hips and keep length in that left waist. With this full extension on the right leg, drop your knee to the floor. If you do have knee issues and you want a blanket for under the knee, do take it. Turning the foot toes under, you want to press the shin to the floor. It is the foot of the pose, and then inhale and up you come. Steady with that front foot. That front foot needs to be stomped into the ground. The toes are released. You want to breathe as you lift up. Inhale, lift the chest, look up if you can, or just look straight ahead. And just be here for a few breaths. When you're ready, you're going to bring both hands on the inside of that foot to the lizard lunge. Here, again, keep the squaring off of the hips by keeping that knee into the body, chest is lifted. And if you're able to deepen into the lizard lunge, bend the elbows, taking the forearms onto the floor. And then you're just going to be here for a few breaths. Take time just to feel these stretches, to allow the body to enjoy and work with these stretches. In your own time, when you've had enough, when you feel ready, absolutely. Push the floor away from you to lift up. Hands on either side of the foot. Turn the toes of the back leg and come to Adho Mukha Svanasana. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, decide whether you need to release in Adho Mukha Virasana, or if you're able to, we're going to come straight to Ekapada Rajakapatasana. So you're going to bend the right knee into the chest. It's a bent knee, and you're bringing the knee in between the two thumbs. So the knee is in between the two thumbs. The hands start moving back, but again, remembering that length in the lumbar spine as much as you can, lifting the abdomen up, so you have to tilt the buttocks. So Ekapada Rajakapatasana, there's so many different ways of doing it. This is the beginner pose where the back leg is straight. If you are floating and you're unable to get that bent leg buttock on the floor, you can lift up and have some support. A shoulder balance foam or a blanket underneath is very helpful. In the classic pose, you want to keep that shin parallel to the front of the mat. At the moment, the foot is near the hip, and if you want, you can bring that shin forward. Again, this is strong hip work. If you're unable to do it, please be cautious of your knee. Don't force the knee to do this pose. Right, taking the hands, bend the leg back again, turn the back toes under, and swing back into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, prepare to bring the left leg forward. Again, the first one, the knees in between the two hands. The foot has come out to the side so that that opposite hip is descending to the foot. The hips are squared off. And you're keeping that lift of the chest, back leg fully extended. If this is sufficient for you, be here for a little bit. Let the hips just engage in this pose. If you need height under the buttocks, take it. If you have no knee issues and your hip can manage the deeper hip work, then you're going to bring that left shin out to a 90 degree. You still want to square off the hips and adjust so that this right hip is still descending as if it were coming down to that foot. So this is more that 90 degree angle. Again, we're just going to stop here in this beginner phase. We're not lifting the back leg and completing the back bend. We're doing Ekapada Rajakapatasana to work into the hips. Set up your hands, so bring the foot back into position. Set up the hands, turn the back toes under, and we're lifting back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, once you've completed it, and you've lengthened and you've released the hips a little bit. So if you're very flexible and your back arches, try to keep the front rib drawing back so that there's length in the sides of the body and not just an openness in the front body. Exhale, taking the knees to the floor. Toes together, knees apart. Slide back, settle into Adho Mukha Virasana. As this is a restorative pose, here you want to rest the elbows on the floor so that the shoulders also have a chance to settle and you can just catch your breath. Because our next pose we're working into is Shirshasana. So now we're coming to Shirshasana. If you're able to do Shirshasana, you're going to go into your Shirshasana now. Shirshasana is the head balance. And again, don't attempt it in an online class if it's not within your practice. You know, do it in a studio with a teacher. Otherwise, get in touch and we can work on your Shirshasana. If you're not doing Shirshasana head balance, you're going to scoot your buttocks right up to the wall. You're going to roll onto your side and take your butt up against the wall. So you're doing Urdhva Pravarita Padasana, and you'll just have a rest here in this pose. If you're doing Shirshasana, you want to be able to, especially in the beginning when you are learning Shirshasana, you want to be able to have a little bit of support for your head. So folded blankets are a good idea. And most importantly, especially when you're going up initially, you want to make sure that you have a wall for support. So when you are practicing, it is best, if you are practicing at home on your own, it is best to have a friend to help you in the beginning. You're going to bring your support right up to the wall. Have a blanket so that there's softness for the head. For Shavasana, you want to interlace the fingers right to the webbing and keep the elbows shoulder distance apart. And then place the head, it's further back on the crown of the head than what you may think. So really tucking your chin, get the back of the neck long. Then lifting the knees, pressing into the forearms, lift up. Once you are in Shavasana, be against the wall for as long as you need. Find your balance, become steady, become tall. The important thing is to keep pressing into the forearms and keep lifting the shoulder blades. Pressing into the forearms, lifting the shoulder blades. There are hundreds of other instructions, but try to lengthen both sides of the body. So as you press into the forearms, open the armpits, lengthen both sides of the body. The Badokonasana Variation, you will take your feet together and widen the knees, taking the support of the wall, but also trying to get the heels to line up with the perineum. From here, you'll just straighten the legs up against the wall, coming back to Shavasana. Shavasana is definitely important that you realize it's a personal practice. Do only what you feel comfortable doing. Do only as long as the pose feels balanced, light. And when you're ready, absolutely you come down. One leg, two legs, bent legs, you come down. When you're ready to release, you're releasing in Adho Mukha Virasana. You can cross your hands so that your head is supported, or rest your head on the floor and take your hands back towards your feet in the classic child's pose. Just settle here, let the neck relax, catch your breath. If you are in Urdhva Prasarita Tadasana with your legs up the wall, you come down, also rolling out of it. And we are continuing with our standing poses. Okay, so all your standing poses begin and end in Tadasana. Our first pose, our first standing pose is Vrikshasana. Vrikshasana is the tree pose. In Vrikshasana, you stand in Tadasana, get the feet together. Knees are firmly drawn up so that pressing into the heels, draw up the knees, extend into the arms, bring life into the body. Vrikshasana, we'll take the hands up through Namaskarasana for today. So when you're ready, you're going to balance on one leg, bend up the other leg, bring the foot right into the groin. You'll recognize this as your Badokonasana leg. If you have no balance, you're welcome to take yourself to the wall to find some support. And then from the Namaskarasana arms, extend the arms up to Vrikshasana. This is the external rotation where you're rolling the inner thigh to the outer thigh. There's that openness of the groin and you're extending to the inner knee, rolling up. When you're ready, come down, hands at your sides. So I struggle with balance all the time. You can either just keep your hand against the wall to help you when you prepare to go into the pose. Another option is to lean into the wall, get into position, and then push yourself away from the wall when you're ready. So prepare to do the other side from Tadasana, bend up the other leg. There's an extension. You want to feel that this bent leg buttock cuts in, and there's that extension of the inner thigh. Once you come away from the wall, stand tall, and make sure that the bent leg foot is not pushing that hip out of alignment. Try to stand tall on that standing leg hip. In your own time, when you're ready, arms up into Urdhva Namaskarasana. Still get a sense that on the bent side, you're dropping that outer thigh down, you're dropping the knee down. Breathe. When you've been there for a few breaths in your own time, release, come down, come back to standing in Tadasana. Virabhadrasana 2 is the warrior 2 position. So you're coming to stand in the middle of your mat. Virabhadrasana 2, you don't need any support. Fingertips to your chest, and on an inhalation, jump or step the feet apart. Right. Initially in this pose, Ekapada Rajakapatasana, the outer edges of the feet are parallel to each other. Then we're going to turn. So we'll turn to the right first, turn the whole right leg out, turn the left toes in. Keep the shoulder girdle lined up over the pelvic girdle. So it's as if there's a resistance on this left arm. Now, as you exhale, it's this Badokonasana leg. As you bend the knee, slide the buttock bone to the divider of the knee, open the groin, suck back that knee into the outer hip. In the classic position, you turn to look over your hand, keep the hands up in line with the shoulders down away from the ears, keep breathing. That front foot, stomp firmly on that heel, don't grip the toes. Keep the knee joint balanced over the ankle joint. When you're ready, you want to resist with the left side, suck up this right leg, turn. At any point in between the poses, if you need to take your hands down or rest them on the hips, then do that. So don't have like this whole tight shoulder thing happening. When you feel ready, shoulders relaxed, arms extended out into Ekapada Rajakapatasana. Turn the feet to Parsvathasana. And then again, you're moving from this right hip to the left hip as you keep the shoulder girdle balanced over the pelvic girdle. Lovely lift of the chest. Turn to look over the bent knee side. This very nice and straight here. The bent knee buttock is in. The groin is lovely and open. You'll be there for a few breaths. Keep that breath flowing, the pose strong, so they're not long breaths. This inner thigh is firm on the back leg, and when you're ready to come up, lifting this, firming up this knee, coming up, turn the feet, turn to center, jump or step the feet together, coming back to Tadasana. And in this Tadasana, there's a softness. You want to just release and relax completely, and your feet should be aligned. Are you being blinded by the sun? So you might want to move a little bit. Right, we're coming to Badokonasana now with our glowing Jess. Okay. The next pose we're doing is Badokonasana. Badokonasana is exactly what you just did in Virabhadrasana 2, but then we're extending over the bent knee. And there's various ways we can extend over that bent knee, and we'll cover those now. So fingertips to the chest. On an inhalation, jump or step the feet apart. And then you're going to turn the feet to the right, and you're coming to Virabhadrasana 2 on the right side. Now, to extend over, just bend your elbow and place your elbow onto your knee. Keep this top hand in the waist. Keep it in the waist. So this top hand reminds this back leg to open up and this back inner thigh to stay strong. What this bent leg arm does is, with that pressure on the knee, you can move the knee back and really open the groin. Classic position. The hand is moving towards the foot. So if you need a brick, you'll take a brick. And if you're a beginner, it is useful to have the arm in front. Right? In this position, you can take the arm up like a Trikonasana arm, just up to the ceiling. In the classic position though, the hand is behind the knee. So see, can you move your hand behind the knee using a brick or not? Keep the knee pushed into the arm. And then this top arm, keeping it nice and long, the shoulder nice and loose. Rotate right at the upper arm and then take the hand over the hip. You want to keep the bend in the knee, keep the hip descending, but keep that back thigh strong. That's your anchor. Turn your chest up to the ceiling, turn to look up to the ceiling past your arm, breathe. And then when you come up, you don't come to Virabhadrasana 2, swing that arm up, inhale, lift up, straighten the leg in one movement, turn the feet, and we go to the other side. So first position, Virabhadrasana 2, bending the knee. Bring the elbow onto the knee and the back hand onto the waist. With the hand on the waist, open up the groin. Rotate that thigh. The hand on the knee helps to keep that knee back. Remind that buttock to stay in. Then when you're ready, slide your hand in front. So this is a beginner option. We're here. When you extend that top arm up in Trikonasana, the shoulders are released. There's an openness across the chest, and you're using the hand to pressurize that knee back. In the next phase, the hand goes back. You can go to the floor or on the brick. Then this top arm revolves right at the top, and you're looking up. The back leg, keep that hip down. Keep the outer foot pressing down. It is helpful to turn it in slightly. You've been in Badokonasana for a few breaths. On an inhalation, use that breath in to come up, straighten the legs, turn the feet, and you either step or jump the feet together, coming to Tadasana. Again, rest in Tadasana. Badokonasana, you know, the standing poses are challenging. Use Tadasana just to quieten, to release, to relax. So the next pose we're doing, we're coming back to Badokonasana. Usually we would do Ardha Chandrasana from Trikonasana, but you bend the knee to go into the pose anyway. So because we've done all these Badokonasanas, we're going to use Badokonasana to get us into Ardha Chandrasana. You can use a brick if a brick is what you need. If you don't use a brick, then don't have a brick. From Tadasana, you're going to bring your fingertips to your chest, jump or step the feet apart, turn the feet to the right, come through Badokonasana. For balance purposes, it's probably, so bend your knee, go through Badokonasana. For balance purposes, it is nice to keep the top hand in the waist. And if that's, you know, easy for you, in the classic Ardha Chandrasana, your hands end up here. So you're going to keep the hand up here. Exhale. Now you have to bend that knee. You have to step forward with the back foot, step forward with the front leg, and come to Ardha Chandrasana. Ardha Chandrasana is a balanced position. Like I said, if you need a brick for underneath the hand, you take the brick. Again, you're turning the hips from the right to the left, opening the groins. There's that external rotation on the standing leg. You hold it only as long as you can. When you're ready, a nice big step back through Badokonasana or Trikonasana, that also works. And then inhale and come up. Turn the feet, step or jump the feet together. So generally, have a rest in Tadasana. You're welcome to come to Tadasana at any point to just recover. And also in Ardha Chandrasana, because you need the space, we'll start now on the left side of the mat, and you'll jump the feet apart, going on the right side of the mat, sorry. Jump the feet apart, turn the feet to the left, and bend the knee, come through Badokonasana. If you're using a brick, you'll have your brick now already. When you feel ready, you're going to launch this right foot forward, stand tall on that left foot. You're trying to keep the left foot facing the direction it was when you were standing. It means you have to rotate this left standing leg thigh, and there's still that openness in the pelvis that we got when we were doing Supta Badokonasana. You keep this back leg strong, keep the arms extended, the spine long, and you hold the pose the same length of time as you did the other side. When you've had enough, absolutely. With control, bend the knees, step back, come up, turn the feet, step or jump the feet together, coming to Tadasana. In this Tadasana, soft, quiet, restorative, gentle Tadasana. Just feeling the effects of that posture on your body. We're going into Prasarita Padottanasana now. Prasarita Padottanasana is good preparation for inversions like head balance, but it's also nice to do at the end of standing poses so that you get a little bit of a release. So feet together in Tadasana, fingertips to the chest, and jump or step the feet apart. So some people who don't have a lot of flexibility, you might want your bricks for your hands. Otherwise, if you're able to take your hands onto the floor, fingertips to the floor. In this position, first find that alignment or that extension of the sides of the body and the spine. Keep the legs firm. It's a restful, restorative position now. If you wish, exhale, take the hands, start to walk them back. and release your head down towards the floor. If you're unable to move back and get towards the floor, stay with the hands underneath the shoulders. Legs are strong here, spine is long, reaching the crown of the head towards the floor. The easier this pose becomes, the more you can start to narrow the distance between the feet to challenge yourself to get more extension in the front body and the spine. Right, so hands out in front, strong legs come up, walk the feet in, and then step them together. So you're welcome to heel toe in if the wide-legged position is a bit challenging. Right, we're coming now to Dandasana. In Dandasana, you may need a blanket to sit on. So Dandasana, feet are out in front of you. You're sitting down. Can I give you the blanket to sit on? And if you need a strap, if you know you're unable to work forward bend very easily, then you'll use a strap. So you know you need a blanket to sit on if your sacrum hangs down and you're unable to bring yourself to the front of the buttock bones so that you can extend safely. In Dandasana, if you are a beginner, you can keep your feet hip distance apart, or if you have knock knees, or if you're unable to keep the feet together, then keep the feet hip distance apart. If you don't need the height, you don't take it. Tighten the knees. And Dandasana, hands are at your sides, fingertips face forward, lock the elbows, lift the spine, open up the chest. We're coming to Janu Shirshasana. So think about, in Janu Shirshasana, the bent leg is pretty much like Badokonasana. So bending up the right leg to Janu Shirshasana. For beginners, at first, you'll bring that foot alongside that inner thigh. As you develop your practice, the foot will go wide at an obtuse angle, and you bring that heel into its own groin. For now, you want to be upright, so using your hands, you can use the back of the hand against the knee to hold this knee back. And then as you exhale, turn towards the extended leg. Some people find it useful to lift the arms up. If that doesn't cause you any tightness in the neck and the back, go for it and reach for your foot. Janu Shirshasana. If you're unable to reach your foot, what you would do is take a strap around the foot to give you a little bit more length. Otherwise, extend your hands towards your foot. Keep the hand extended towards the foot. This is an asymmetrical pose. So for a lot of people, the body tends to open up away from the bent knee. You need to exhale, bring that right side of the body down, left side of the body out the way. Extend yourself towards the foot and just rest the head there. If you can do the final clasp, then what you want to do is the one hand grabs the back of the hand of the back leg, of the bent leg. Let your head descend. So Janu Shirshasana, very similar to what we did when we were standing for Vrikshasana, same leg action, just in a forward bend position. Use your hands to push yourself back into an upright position, and then extend the leg in Dandasana. Be in Dandasana, firm up the thighs, hands are at your sides, extend the sides of the body and the spine. Now bend up the left leg. Again, you want to turn the body towards that right leg, and when you extend yourself over, this left side of the body stays closing down, this right side of the body moves out the way. Once you're quite far down, you can either do the final clasp or just keep holding the foot and widening the elbows. Let go the head. Be here for a few breaths. Each inhalation, lengthen the breastbone towards the foot. Each exhalation, see can you settle the back body to the front body to that leg. Straighten that right leg. And then again, using your feet, your hands, push yourself up away from your feet. Extend that leg, coming back to Dandasana. Right, so Anantasana, similar shape, but now lying on your side. All right, So we're going to lie on our left side first. Again, if you need a strap, you'll have a strap nearby. So lying on the left side, extend your left arm, and then when you hold your head, make sure that from the left elbow to the left shoulder, the hip, the knee, the foot, all in a straight line. You're stacking the hips one above the other. If you keep your feet alert like Tadasana and press the bottom little toe down, it gives you a little bit of a tripod that can support you. You can just use your hand in front for balance, or, to try and find a little bit more balance, extend the arm alongside the body and see if you can balance there. From here, you're going to bend up this top knee, and you can hold the ankle. So you're bringing it to a tree pose position, rest it on the thigh, hold the ankle. In this position, it gives you a chance to stabilize, moving the knee back, finding that external rotation. Grabbing hold of the big toe, bring the knee towards your ear. If you're able to here, you're going to straighten the leg. So some people are unable to, don't have the flexibility to, you'll just use a strap. It's easier when you've got that clasp on the big toe, but holding onto a strap is just as good. Open up both legs, feel that full extension of the spine also. If you find that you're wobbly and you lose your balance, I hope I don't make you lose your balance now, but if you find you're wobbly and lose your balance, then this back leg, this base leg, you can just bend it so that the shin goes back, and that acts a little bit as a stopper. Right, extend the leg, release this top leg, and we're going to roll onto the right side. Right. Extend that right armpit along the floor. Make sure the feet line up with the rest of the body. At first, you've got the hand there for balance. The gaze is just softly towards the front of your mat so you're not getting distracted. And then to challenge your balance, when you're on the side of the body, bring the hand alongside and just feel, can you steady up there? Can you hold the pose? You feel steady and stable. Bend up the left leg, the top leg, bring it to the tree pose. You can hold the ankle, rest the foot. So this left buttock should be cutting in so much that you should feel the bone of the hip touching into that forearm, and this left knee has to be moving back. When you're stable and ready, again, you can always bend that extended leg, bring the knee up towards your head, holding the big toe, extend that left leg up to the ceiling. Still keeping that external rotation so that this top buttock comes in. If you feel wobbly, take support. Bend the back leg, do what you need to do, but keep that buttock in. When you're ready, release both legs. Roll onto your abdomen, push yourself up to come to a seated position. Right, we are coming now to our final Supta Badokonasana of the class. So we've done a lot of Supta Badokonasana. Supta Badokonasana, in this one, we're lying on the bolster lengthways. So have a bolster or a nice sturdy cushion and a blanket for your head. So there are many different ways to support Supta Badokonasana. And for today, you're going to take your strap in a nice big loop. Because we've been working on this external rotation, there's been a lot of work into the hip region, taking a nice big loop around your knees, so it's on the groins and on the front ankle. Bring the feet close and widen the knees. Make sure that this top strap, you want to bring it down so it's not pressing into your bladder. And you want to feel that the strap is tight enough. So is it tight enough? If it's not tight enough, just tighten. Don't have the metal bit on your flesh. You want to move the metal bit of the strap away, and you want to feel that the strap cuts the outer thigh and feels quite supportive and nice there. Yeah. Hands are just rested at your sides. Don't think you lay yourself centered. So you want to make sure you're lying absolutely centered on the bolster so that you're not tipping to the left, you're not tipping to the right. centered. And as the bolster supports the spine into the body, the left and the right sides of the chest open, left and right sides of the abdomen open. The support is cupping the outer thigh, supporting it a little bit. You can close your eyes and relax here. Have a rest here. So this Supta Badokonasana is just to catch your breath before we do Salamba Sarvangasana. Salamba Sarvangasana, of course, is the shoulder balance pose. If you don't do inversions, you can remain in the Supta Badokonasana position. If you do inversions and you feel ready to do a Salamba Sarvangasana, shoulder balance, you're going to now bring your knees together, removing your strap, rolling onto the side of your support to come up. Shoulder balance. In an Iyengar practice, we use supports for shoulder balance. Again, it's these shoulder balance foams. So what they do is protect the neck. They give you a little bit of height so that there's freedom in the neck and the top shoulder region. You want to use a blanket to cover them. You can put your mat folded over them to support them and keep them together. Use a blanket up to the edge, and then another blanket for a little bit of softness for the head, but also so that the hair doesn't get caught, so that it's nice and soft. We are going to come through the Halasma position, so fold up the blanket so that your feet are on the floor. You'll take a strap. You're measuring the strap from outer shoulder to outer shoulder. And when you're ready to go into it, you'll just either have the strap hooked on your elbow or holding into your hand. Lie down on the support so that you're on the support, the head is on the blanket, the edge of your earlobe is lined up with the edge of the support. This bit of support here is for the top shoulder to roll onto. You're going to kick your feet over your head into Halasana. If you're unable to get the feet to the floor in Halasana, you either use a wall, you sit up close to a wall, or if you have a bench, a chair, or something that you can raise the legs up, that's quite useful. Once the strap is on the upper arm, support your back with your hands, and then you're going to lift your legs up to Salamba Sarvangasana, either going one leg or two legs together. In Salamba Sarvangasana, you're trying to create a straight plumb line from the shoulder joint. You line up the hip joint, you line up the knee joint, the ankle joint. A nice straight line. Shoulder balance, a big challenge for a lot of people is keeping the middle buttocks in so that you can keep this front groin area open. You want to move the thighs back. You want to keep the middle buttock in. Extending through the inner line of the leg. Shoulder balance, make sure that the back of the neck feels released. So the throat is soft and lengthen the back of the neck. You keep adjusting the hands so that the hands move down the back. And then you also want the body to receive the weight, the hands to receive the weight of the body so that the elbows stay grounded. Elbows grounded, shoulder blades lifted. Back of the neck long, throat soft. Initially, when you're going into the pose and you're giving yourself all these verbal cues that I've just given you, the gaze moves up and down the body, but ultimately soften the gaze towards the solar plexus region, towards your heart center. In shoulder balance, you're going to hold shoulder balance only for as long as you feel comfortable, as long as you feel the pose is engaged, there's some lightness, there's some life in the pose. If the pose feels heavy, slumpy, you can't bring lightness and life to it again, then you come down to Halasma. So take your feet down to Halasma. And if you're following along with the video, so keep your strap on, Jess. You can release, but then we're preparing to come to Halasma. So once you've released, you're going to take your strap off. Set it aside so you don't roll on the metal bit. Roll out of the pose slowly, protecting your back as you go. You can move down your support so that your head and your shoulders are on the same level. Or if you move down more and you get your shoulders down, and your head on the support, then that's a lot more releasing for most people, a lot more quietening and releasing and restorative. Halasma, the pose you just did going into and out of Salamba Sarvangasana, is also a wonderful pose when done as a restorative pose. As a restorative pose, it is beneficial if you have a proper Halasma bench, right? If you don't have a Halasma bench, then using a chair sideways, depending on the shape and size of the chair, can be useful. So we're coming again to where we were a moment ago. I'll set Jess up. We're coming to a supported Halasma. Because it's a supported Halasma and it's a relaxed Halasma, you're not going to use your strap. So again, she's lined herself up. Now, when she takes her legs over, ideally, you want the bench to be over your head if you're not too claustrophobic. You want to bring your buttocks up and rest your thighs on the bench. So it's not one size fits all the benches, the chairs also. Once you're on that top shoulder, you can bend up your arms like we did the cactus arms. That also makes you feel a little bit more secure to hold the bench and adjust if you need. And then, so it's best to have the thighs rested. When you're using a chair, sometimes you can't get the chair in the correct position to rest the thighs. Sometimes it's only the legs that are rested on the chair, but you know, you make do with what you've got. This supported, restful Halasma, you can hold for as long as you have time for as long as you're comfortable for. Are you comfortable? Yes? So, Jess is going to come down now, unroll yourself, don't whack yourself on your bench, and then release so that your head is on the support in the same way that you release after shoulder balance. Let the shoulders feel soft, the neck and throat region feels soft and relaxed. Okay. So if you don't mind, Jess, we'll just show with the chair. So line yourself back up. If you do not have a bench and you want to attempt it on a chair, these fold-out chairs are great, especially if you remove the back and you've got space to go through the chair. But again, if the bar is in the way, you don't want to hit your head, so your legs are going to be supported more than the chair. So the legs are going to go through the back of the chair. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit different. Okay, so coming out. And again, if she wanted to, you can come back in, but bend your knees. Bend your knees. You can rest your knees on the chair and your feet on the backrest. So that is another way of doing it if you don't have a chair that you can go through the back. And then release and come out. Right. So anytime you come out of an inversion, anytime you come out of Halasma, make sure you do take time to release, to rest, and relax. We're going to conclude our practice now with Shavasana. Shavasana, you take only what supports you need. If you're in a cold place, have warm bits and pieces on, take blankets if you need them. A blanket for the head is always nice. And if you don't like to lie flat, if it affects your back in a negative way to lie flat, then you'll use a bolster underneath the knees. So when you extend the legs, I'll fix it. When you extend the legs, you don't want the bolster all the way on the thigh and nothing under the shins. You want half and half. So the back of the knee has to be on the bolster. This gives you that length in the lumbar spine, quietness in the pelvis and the hips. If you don't want or need the bolster, must I leave it? So if you don't need the bolster, you remove the bolster and then just extend the legs. When you extend the legs, it's a good idea to come into Shavasana with bent knees at first so that the abdomen can quieten and the buttock flesh, you want to release it away from the back waist. Also remembering to release the skin of the shoulder blades, the muscle of the shoulder blades down the back. Feel that the head and the neck are supported The feet from the groins, the thigh rolls from the inner thigh to the outer thigh to give space to the pelvis. And in that way, the feet then flop out to the sides. And the same thing happens in the arms. The bicep rolls out so that the palm faces up to the ceiling in a gesture of receiving. You want to feel here on an exhalation that you completely let go. So the breath holds you into the Shavasana pose. You want to stay with your inhalations, stay with your exhalations. The exhalations help to settle you into Shavasana. The exhalations don't just remove carbon dioxide from the body, they also remove toxins. So it's a very powerful thing, the exhalation. And in Shavasana, the exhalation also helps you to disconnect from your thoughts. So as you exhale and you let go of that breath, let go of thoughts, let go of any tension, just let go. If you get distracted by thoughts, sensations in your body, sounds around you, bring your focus back to the breath. Be with your inhalation, be with your exhalation. Again, release into that quiet, still Shavasana state. In your own practice, when you're in Shavasana, you can stay for as long as you want or need. We're going to bring ourselves back to the surface. Start to let the inhalation deepen. Use that inhalation to draw breath into the body. Let that inhalation, that oxygen feed to every cell of your body. Bring your hands onto anywhere on your trunk where it's comfortable. Keep the elbows on the floor so that the arms are rested. And again, with this physical contact of the hands on the abdomen, just feel the breath moving in and out of the body. On the next breath in, you'll stretch your arms over your head. Give your body a long, deep stretch. Then bending your knees, roll onto your right-hand side. Stay in that fetal position for a few moments. You want the knees curled into the chest. This left arm stays down, holding you in this quiet Shavasana state. The right arm cradles the head. You come up out of Shavasana slowly. You're going to use the left hand in front. Lift the shoulders up first. You bring the head up last. Once you are upright, come to a seated position. Close the eyes. Bring your hands together in that Manjali Mudra, prayer position. With the eyes closed, bring your focus back to your body, back to your breath. More smile on your face. Take a moment to give thanks for the health and strength of your body and for your dedication in coming to your mat. In the next breath in, you can let the eyes gently flutter open and focus. Namaste. Thank you, Jess. Thank you for joining us. Namaste.